How's it going today, guys? Thought I'd give Granny Fanny a break from stomping around in the woods and come out here and play with my magic waterfall for a little bit and get a little water therapy going on. It's been a while since I had all of this dug out, and I just had the itch to set it all up and mess with it for a little bit. Been a lot of time and a lot of years running all over the eastern part of the United States digging gold up out of the creeks, and loved doing that and had fun with it and had a lot of adventures that are stories for other days. But I wanted to kind of show you this little setup here. We're all sitting around twiddling our thumbs wondering what to do with ourselves, and there's all kinds of things you can do out in the garage or shed if you have one. Try to make something creative out of nothing, or if you're fortunate enough to be in areas where there's the rocky creeks with the white quartz and all of that, you might be sitting on top of a gold mine and not even aware of it. The typical way that you would see it in the quartz is when you have the contact zones like the standard country rock or limestone, where it comes into contact with the quartz and broke off. Those are primary places to look for gold and minerals, and a lot of times you'll see a bigger piece or great big pieces that will be empty on the inside. You won't know it until you either bust them open or cut them open, like I have done this one here. Everything that it may have had was out here on the outer face on this contact area, where everything has since eroded off as it's tumbled down through the creeks. So that's a little better view of the mineralization and contact zones there on that piece. But out in the creek, flip the boulders over and get the gravels and sediments all out from under that, and typically on the inside bends where the gravel bars build up at the front head of it, you'll find the bigger pieces and flakes, and toward the lower end of it, it'll start running out. But you know, gold is where you find it. There's not always a 100% accurate recipe for finding it out in nature. You just got to poke around and take a look. I dug out a little dirt from the creek back there just to give you an idea of how this thing processes and runs. You just shovel it in and let the water action do the work. When it builds up down here on the bottom, just tap it a little bit and help it break up. This is one of the easier ways of going about it, and I like it because it's nice and quiet. Runs on a 12-volt battery, or if you're doing it in the backyard after you've already dug out buckets of dirt and sand, you can just hook it straight up to a battery charger and run it that way. And it's got a little bilge pump like you would put in the bottom of a boat. That's what operates everything on it. And I've had a lot of fun with it over the years, and hopefully I'll get back into some areas where there is a little more gold to go dig up out of the ground. And like I said, that's one thing I enjoyed thoroughly when I was out east, and we went to other locations and made trips out to Arizona, and we metal detected out in the desert and ran this thing out in the desert on different claims and stuff like that. Been all over the country with it, and I've found gold in a lot of areas. But it's easy enough to research. You know, nobody's gonna walk you out in the woods by your hand and tell you this is the exact spot, dig here. You just kind of got to get a general idea and go investigate and look around. But sometimes you get lucky and you'll find pieces like that. But after you've finished running all of your dirt, you just turn it off and this unscrews out of here and lifts up, and that slides down and you dump it all into a gold pan, and then you just pan it out in your tub or tote, or if you're in the creek you just pan your dirt in the creek. It's pretty simple and straightforward. And if you're really lucky, at the end of the day you'll have a little bit of glitter down in there. And yes, it's always awesome to find some gold, but a lot of times it's not about finding the gold, it's about the adventure of going out and looking for the gold. And I went to the trouble to pull this little bit of dirt out, so I'll go ahead and run it and check it. I might be surprised. There might be a few little grains or flakes down in our creek. Wouldn't that be something? In a lot of areas out west, like even around LA, you can go to the sand and gravel places and get the bags of gravel and find $10, $15, $20 worth of gold flakes down in the bottom of a $3 bag of gravel. And do the math, that adds up pretty quick. It's all over the place out there. Get down in the drainage culverts that run under the road and clean out the ripples in the corrugated steel. Those are natural traps, just like these little traps in the sluice box. So when you're walking up and down the hills and you spot the veins of quartz or pieces of it protruding out, you just look for the contact areas where the natural rock is, and then the quartz begins, and in that vein is the primary place where you'd want to take a look. Take a hammer and chisel and bust it apart, and might need a magnifying glass or a loupe, but it's out there. There's still more in the ground than what has ever been mined out. You just got to go bend over and find it. Alright guys, I'm going to sit here and run my waterfall for a little bit. We will catch you later. Appreciate you coming in.